is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another irrigation episode. I seem to get many questions on irrigation, and I covered some irrigation stuff in my other two shows. One about converting a standard faucet, spigot, or hose bib to basically using an inline timer using a battery, and then I had another episode regarding using your basically lawn sprinkler timer to use for drip irrigation, and that's what I'm doing here in the front yard. I didn't get into the third part that I never had actually edited and put up, and actually had some good new information that I'm going to share with you today and show you actually work in progress that we're doing to finish the irrigation here. So basically the front yard, we have the timer on the wall over there, and it basically is the standard sprinkler irrigation timer. We basically converted over, instead of this coming up with the sprinklers, now we unscrew the sprinklers and basically convert it over to the PVC pipe, and we come up in each bed with a PVC tube. So it's basically comes out of the ground as 3/4 inch. We then did adapt it to 1/2 inch because the 1/2 inch ball valves are much less expensive than the 3/4 inch ball valves, and then we're gonna run into basically a 1/2 inch drip pipe anyways, so we got to convert it over to 1/2 inch at some point anyways. So we come out, this is the 3/4 pipe, we convert over into 1/2 inch, we go into a ball valve. This allows us to control the flow of water, so this does restrict the flow, so we could put the pressure really high to spray a lot of water, or a little bit, or cut it off if we don't want it being watered. In this case it has been cut off because this was a new bed. It was getting rained on for the watering in the winter time, but now we're into spring, it's raining less, and we're going to replant this bed. This is what's left of the bok choy bed, and we've been harvesting those. Had a nice bok choy salad last night with orange nut dressing, and that was quite delicious. So this is how it comes out, and we're going to show you once it comes out of this. Basically these are 1/2 inch fittings, a 1/2 inch ball valve, then we go into a 1/2 inch T, and then we basically go into these inserts that basically convert the PVC over to accept the drip hose tubing. So that's this bed here. Let's go to the next bed here where we're actually installing the drip tubing, and we'll show you more about that. Now we're going to install, out of the upright here, we're going to install the drip hosing. So it's very easy, and what we do is we basically take the drip tube here, and then we convert it and we go down to the soil level. And this is an extra step. You know, you could probably save about I don't know, about $1.50 or $2 in parts. If you didn't want to go back down to the soil level, you can just run the hose out and it'll just kind of be high for a little while and then go down. But to be flexible and have the optimal use of the space, and like if it went down, we would just come straight out and then we wouldn't be able to adjust our row. But with this, we could put this in and then adjust a row in the soil. So if we put this in here, our row could be over here, or we can move our row over to this side. So basically it's really easy. You just want to take this drip hose, and we have a little section of drip hose about that long. We're just going to put it in here like this and wiggle it back and forth until it's tight, and that's how easy it is to put the drip hose in there into the quick fit connectors. And so now our drip system is all set up in this bed. So now we've laid out all the drip pipe in this small bed. We basically have 3 rows, so we're running the drip pipe in 3 rows that are going to correspond with where we are going to plant. And this is the last connection we have to do. At every corner we have these joints, and you just basically push the hose into the joint. Basically just take it like this and just literally push them in. You got to kind of wiggle back and forth as you're pushing the hose in, and it'll just kind of get inserted, and it's just basically pressed to fit. That's how tight it works. The other thing I highly recommend is you get some stakes. So you could use some old wire, but they make these galvanized stakes here to secure your hose, because this hose does come in a spool, and when it does come in a spool, it gets basically contorted to the shape of the spool. And you know, I recommend when you buy your drip hose, definitely buy the longer spool and check the cost per foot. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy, you know, the 500-foot spool, but sometimes it's cheaper to buy 2 400-foot spools depending on the price. So you know, you're going to use a lot of it. You could calculate, you know, in each bed, some of the 15-foot beds, I have up to 6 lines going up and down that bed. So definitely buy a lot of drip tube. It's relatively inexpensive. 100 feet runs about $10, but then if you go up to like 500 feet, I think it's around $40 or so. Or I think my friend got recently 200 feet for about $12 to $15. So, you know, buy a lot. You're going to need it. And I think I bought, this roll was 1,000 feet actually. So now we're going to talk about the different sizes of drip tubing. The two standard sizes of drip tubing are basically .700 OD or outside diameter and .620 OD or outside diameter. And each drip tubing is a little bit different size. So this is the .700 OD, and that's known as the 5/8, and this is the .620 known as a 1/2 inch. And they're not interchangeable, so they are two completely different sizes, and you could tell by the fittings on here. The end fittings on the 1/2 inch or .620 is a green on the ends, and then the .700 is black on the end. So I think we had it one time where most of my stuff was made with the 1/2 inch OD, and then I started buying the 5/8 inch OD, and then it wouldn't be compatible. So you can get connectors that have a .620 or 1/2 inch OD and then a .700 or 5/8 inch OD to basically join between the two different size connectors. In a pinch, I have actually taken the 5/8 inch and pinched it down and really shoved it into the .620, but I don't recommend doing that. Get the right connectors, and overall I would recommend getting the .700 OD, all things remaining equal. It's going to flow a little bit more water, but get whatever you have available. Why do I use drip irrigation? Well, drip irrigation, probably the number one reason why I use drip irrigation is because I love to travel so much. And when you travel, or when you have a busy job, when you're away from your home and you forget to water at night because you're too tired after you get home from work, or actually you're not even at home, the drip irrigation is all on a timer. It's going to water basically whenever you want it to water, and you don't have to water. So it takes a lot of the labor out of watering your plants. I have friends, that come home from work every day and they water their plants, but they could, if they had a drip system installed, they would not have to worry about that task, and they could have basically a drip timer and a system do that and take care of all that for them, so to save them time, and they could go on and do other things. The other reason for a drip system is because it waters at the base of the plant. Instead of overhead watering, which many people have overhead watering, that wastewater, it waters a whole area, which not only waters the plant, not only gets the leaves wet, but it also waters all the ground around the plant, which may basically, you're watering the weeds or the seeds that may come up in between the plants. So also watering each plant could deter weeds, which guess what? In the long run, it's going to also save you labor, because now you're not going to have to pull in weeds because you're only watering at the plant. So I'm going to get back to work. This is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Keep on irrigating. It'll save you time and money in the long run.